Newcastle 2, Liverpool 3. What an incredible game of football last night was. Rio Ngumoha, the hero, the match winner, a star in the making. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today's video is a not-so-instant match reaction to Liverpool's 3-2 win over Newcastle last night. An incredible game, an emotional game, a game that pretty much had it all. Goals, drama, a red card, injuries, and a match winner in the dying embers of the game in the form of a 16-year-old kid who, through incredible hostility, with all the emotion going into the game, rose up when it mattered most, even when Liverpool were not that great on the night, and managed to win the game, drag Liverpool over the finish line and to 3 incredibly valuable points against a very, very tough, very determined, very brave, very valiant Newcastle side who deserve all the credit in the world for what they went through. We're going to be talking about last night's game. We're going to be talking about the incredible win for Liverpool. We're going to be talking about the Newcastle side of things as well. But before we go any further discussing all of that and much more, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And also, I'd like to encourage you to get involved in the comment section as well. Let me know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, on last night's game down there. I'm sure what you have to say will make for great and interesting reading, so please do get involved. Would love to hear what you have to say about Liverpool's win, about Newcastle's defeat, like the overall performances of both teams, and anything and everything that you have to say about the game and about anything to do football related. Sound good? Great. Now let's get on with things, shall we? Let's talk last night's game. Let's talk the match review of Liverpool's 3-2 win over Newcastle. Now, of course, I'm going to talk about this from a mainly Liverpool perspective. So allow me to say first and foremost, just on Newcastle, fair play. Fair play to each and every single one of those Newcastle players, barring one, and that, of course, one is Anthony Gordon. But every single one of those Newcastle players that took to the pitch, barring him last night, fair play to each and every single one of you. You carried yourself, you represented the club so brilliantly, so bravely. Full credit. I honestly have got... the way you battled throughout the first minute till the last was brilliant to see. You really dug deep through true grit and determination. You made it a real contest. Fair play to Eddie Howe. Sets you up brilliantly. And I always knew you were going to be a tough side to beat, which is why I actually predicted us to get a draw. And, you know, St James's Park is never an easy place to go. Which again is why I predicted a draw, because it's never an easy place. It's one of the worst places to probably go in the entirety of a Premier League season away from home. So, knew it wasn't going to be easy, knew it was going to be tough, and yet Liverpool still managed to get out of it with a win. And that is incredible in of itself. Did we maybe deserve the win? You can argue no, we didn't. And it's a fair argument. Maybe they actually did deserve something, Newcastle, in terms of a point maybe, or something along them lines, because they did battle very, very well. Liverpool were just clinical on the night. We didn't really play well. There were spells here and there where, you know, we played some good stuff at times. We played pretty well in certain moments. I felt like when we got that first goal and we kind of killed the crowd a little bit from the 35th minute right the way through till half-time, and then we got the second goal straight after the interval, and then until Newcastle got their way back into the game thanks to Bruno Guimaraes, I felt we controlled the game a little bit better in that kind of spell. But in the moments before and after that, we were completely off the pace, and that is full credit to Newcastle for making us feel that way. And And it wasn't until maybe the final couple of minutes where we actually decided, you know what, we can actually play. And our first real moment of play, our first real moment where we actually got the ball down, started stringing some passes together and playing through Newcastle, is the moment where we put together our best move of the game. And that best move of the game led to Rio Ngumoha, of all people, getting the goal that won us the game, the match winner. Newcastle were brilliant, and there's absolutely no doubt about it. I mean, yes, I'm going to sound... It's going to sound like I am nitpicky and kind of horrible in this moment, but their goals could have been preventable. Their goals could have easily been stoppable had our defence actually, decided to defend rather than just do it half-heartedly. Both Kirkes for the first goal, and then Konate and Gravenberch, a combination of the two of them for the second goal. Konate not strong enough in the air, Gravenberch not tracking the runner. For a combination of those two, and maybe you can blame Alisson for being a little bit in no man's land, but the goals were preventable, yes. But ultimately, Newcastle made their own luck on the day because they were brilliant in terms of the way they battled, in terms of the way that they fed off the energy of the crowd. And my gripe isn't with them. And at the same time, I'm not going to go too harsh on the Liverpool performance because I know how difficult it can be to get through St James's Park, as I mentioned before. I know how difficult it can be to win there. Not many teams are going to win there this season, but we showed that champions mentality to stick it right through till the end, and our clinical nature got the job done. My gripe about this game is on the referee, who I thought was terrible for both teams. I felt the referee did not get a grasp of the game. It was always going to be an emotional game going into it. Anybody who obviously knows football and knows the backstory of what's happened this summer in terms of the Isak situation, you can add the Ekatike situation onto that if you wish. But all of that kind of stuff culminates, and it was always going to be a feisty occasion. And the referee, for the opening 20 minutes or so especially, did not want to be there. He absolutely did not want to be there, didn't get a hold of the game, and he was giving free kicks left, right and centre, mainly in the first 20 minutes to Newcastle, but then it started to kind of balance itself out a little bit in terms of the overall inconsistency of the referee. Then he starts brandishing his yellow card left, right and centre. Obviously, Anthony Gordon gets sent off. We will discuss that later on. Deservedly so. But you could maybe argue Konate could have been sent off. You could maybe then argue that Bruno Guimaraes could have been sent off for a foul on Chiesa, which would have been a second yellow card. He was so poor on the day. And my also other gripe is with certain Newcastle fans online. The ones that going into this game were acting like their team was about to go to war. The ones that were basically saying this is going to be a bloodbath. This is going to be a massacre. This is going to be a day in which most Liverpool players are going to end up in the hospital. Those kind of ones that were bigging it up like Joe Linton was going to be an absolute thug on the pitch. The way that Newcastle team were going to battle and Liverpool were going to receive injuries and receive horrible moments happen to them in which they were going to be stretchered off the pitch, going to hospital, in the back of ambulances, that kind of thing. Those are the kind of people that I have a problem with. All week long, I've seen certain ones rile up about how much it means to them, how much they need to get into them. And I get it from a certain perspective, but that's what I think cost Newcastle overall. I really do think that, because I really do think that the Newcastle fans really bought into that sort of mentality. Because Newcastle were great, especially for the opening 35 minutes. Newcastle were really, really good. They just could not put away their chances. Ironically, if they had a certain Swedish striker, this probably could have been a very, very different story. Newcastle probably won the game and probably would have won the game pretty comfortably with how poor Liverpool were. But they were just toothless in attack. But you could see that for the first 35 minutes or so, those players were playing on adrenaline, they were playing on feeling, emotion, and they were just quick to every first ball, quick to every second ball. Liverpool were kind of swamped for the first 20 to 30 minutes or so. And then when they couldn't get that goal, Liverpool started to slowly creep into the game a bit more. And then against the run of play, bang! Ryan Gravenberch, fantastic finish. He gets the goal against the run of play. But that goal, it seemed to just drain the energy from the crowd. And that's where Liverpool then quietened the game down. They slowed the game down and they were able to get back into the game more and more. And what you saw with the Anthony Gordon situation was, I'm going to make a challenge here. I'm going to make a thunderous challenge on Van Dijk. And I'm going to get the crowd back into the game because of it. That is what I don't know obviously for sure, but that is what I'm thinking in my head was what was going through Anthony Gordon's. Because there is no other reason to make that challenge. There is no other reason to make that challenge on Van Dijk. Doesn't need to make the challenge. The ball's not really going anywhere. It's probably going to be contested and maybe won by a Newcastle player. And yet, he decides to go in for a crunching challenge, which he gets completely wrong and ends up getting sent off. Now, why the referee didn't seem that it was going to be a red card in the moment, you could clearly tell what Gordon had left on Van Dijk. You could only look at the back of his calf to see the stud marks that were raked down the back of his calf to see the evidence of the foul. So why the referee again had to go to a nearby touchline monitor to see it, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is he did. Anthony Gordon gets correctly sent off and Newcastle are down to 10 men. And when you're thinking, right, they're down to 10 men, they're down 1-0, this is Liverpool's game here to now go on and close out. And we did. We did for the most part because we got the second goal straight after half-time. Hugo Ekitike, 3 goals in 3 games for him in Liverpool colours. Another very good finish from him. It makes a change, doesn't it, when you actually have strikers that are clinical in the box. Very good finish. And then you're thinking, right, just play this out. Get a third goal, kill it off completely, get out of there unscathed, move on to Arsenal at the weekend. But no, in typical Liverpool fashion, we have to make it difficult for ourselves. In the second week in a row, we have to throw away a 2-goal lead. Poor defending from Kirkes at the back post allows Bruno Guimaraes to get a header in, which goes into the back of the net. And I thought Guimaraes was absolutely unbelievable in midfield in that game. We could not get anywhere near him. I think he is fantastic. I really like the look of him. And I'd be saying, I know that obviously this Isak thing has obviously not panned out the way we'd hoped. But maybe just test the waters with Guimaraes next year. If things obviously still go well for Liverpool within the next year or so, just test the waters with Guimaraes next year. That'd be great. So, fair play to Guimaraes. Gets them back into the game. And, you know, we've let them back into the game. Because, like I say, Kirkes, awful defending. I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't know what he's doing. But he's got to be stronger in those moments. I thought he had an overall decent game, Kirkes. I thought he was one of our better performing players. But in that situation, he was terrible. And then the second goal, again, Konate. Needs to be stronger, needs to be better, needs to be more alert. If his head is in Madrid, go. I don't want him at my club. If he's not fully committed, go. And why we are messing around with this Mark Gahey deal, just go and get the Mark Gahey done. Just go and get the Mark Gahey deal done. If we're messing around over a few million or whatever, just pay the few million. We can't keep conceding goals the way that we are doing. We can't keep going 2-0 up and being pegged back to 2-2. It's not sustainable. Go and get the Mark Gahey deal done. I'm begging Liverpool today, tomorrow, get it done, please. And Gravenberch not chasing the run of the goal scorer. Like, that's poor as well. And there you're thinking, Newcastle got their tails up. Newcastle have got their momentum. Similarly to last week with Bournemouth. They're going to go on and win the game from here. And then 11 minutes went up. The crowd roared. Newcastle were getting corner after corner after corner. And luckily, we had Van Dijk. If we didn't have Van Dijk, they probably would have scored. But Van Dijk was just an absolute colossus, meeting everything with his head, with his foot, whatever it was. Right position, right place, right time. Van Dijk was everything in that game and more. And then Liverpool put together the best move of the game, and Rio Ngumoha steps up. To have the guts to put him on the pitch in the first place in such a hostile atmosphere was gutsy anyway of Arne Slot. Fair play to him for having the trust in that 16-year-old to make this happen. But the move was great. What may get a little bit overlooked is the dummy from Dominic Szoboszlai, who I thought was, again, another brilliant performer for Liverpool. Whether it was at right back, whether it was through the middle, the guy was unbelievable. I thought Szoboszlai had an excellent game. An excellent, excellent game. But that dummy just was perfect. And it sets up Ngumoha, and it's an unbelievable finish. It is an unbelievable finish from the 16-year-old, who could have rushed it. He could have got a little bit ahead of himself, a little bit too excited, and he could have just skied it, skewed it, whatever it may be. But it's a perfect, perfect finish. And Rio Ngumoha made his mark in the Premier League on his Premier League debut, 16 years of age. One of the youngest goal scorers in Premier League history. He is going to be a star. I am telling you that now. He is going to be a star. And hopefully he does get more minutes in the future and we see a lot more of Rio Ngumoha. But an unbelievable finish, to say the least. Look, like I say, it wasn't the best of Liverpool performances. There were some good individual ones. Like I say, I thought Kerkez was okay, apart from obviously where he concedes the goal. I thought Dominic Szoboszlai was unbelievable, like I mentioned. I thought Van Dijk was unbelievable. Konate was awkward. So awkward. Alisson didn't really have that much to do. You could maybe pick fault of him with the second goal, but I don't think he really had that much to do with in the second half. First half, he kept us in it, definitely. First half, he kept us in it, definitely. But second half, I don't think he had that much to do. I thought Gravenberch was decent, to say that this was his first game back after obviously suspension and other things. Thought he was okay. Curtis Jones was very good. My only fault with Curtis Jones is what I always have fault with Curtis Jones over. Sometimes he does hold on to the ball for a little too long. That's my only fault with Curtis Jones. But other than that, Curtis Jones was great. Salah, apart from the assist, was completely anonymous. Cody Gakpo was a very good outlet to have in the first half. We just didn't really utilise it much in the second half. But his physicality against Trippier was a mismatch. And that was what we used as an outlet constantly in the first half. It was very good to use. I thought Cody Gakpo had a very good game, and he had a couple of assists as well to boot. So fair play. Florian Wirtz was poor. Wirtz was poor in this game. I think he got a little bit lost in the physicality element of Newcastle's midfield. I think it's about adjusting to the Premier League, and I think he had a big wake-up call yesterday. You can't be taking that many touches. If I'm going to criticise Curtis Jones for taking too many touches, I'll say the same thing with Florian Wirtz. Took too many touches. Maybe in the Bundesliga you can get away with that stuff. You can't really get away with that stuff in the Premier League. So I'm not going to go too hard on him because he's still adjusting to a brand new league. But there does need to be some level of improvement in the very near future. And Ekitike, not his best game, but I thought he held the line very well. I thought he tried to use his physicality and his mobility to the best of his ability as an outlet for Liverpool. And of course he takes his goal very, very well. Again, not his best performance, but still pretty good to say the least. Look, like I say, I think overall what you could say is that Liverpool played the game, Newcastle played the occasion. This was always going to be a tough game. Regardless of the added incentive of obviously what is going on with the Alexander Isak situation in the background, the added extra emotion to the game and the level of tenacity and the extra injection of emotion. this was always going to be a tough game. And I would have taken a point before the game even kicked off. That's why I said that I thought this game was going to end 2-2 in my Premier League predictions video. I would have taken the draw. I wouldn't have taken the draw last night, given how things played out with Liverpool going 2-0 up, Newcastle being down to 10 men, and then pegging us back. But I'm glad we got out of there with a win. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't great, but I'm glad we got out of there with a win, not just because it's 3 points, but also because of those Newcastle fans that really, really were riled up this week. The ones that were acting like they were going to war, that kind of thing. The ones that were saying that Joelinton's going to be arrested and we need to pay his bail money because of what he's going to do. And then overall, what happened? I don't wish for injury on anybody, but all of those people that were riling it up, that's probably a reason why Anthony Gordon got sent off. It may have even been a reason why the likes of Tonali and Joelinton got injured in the game. Because they tried a little too hard to be extra physical in the challenges, leave a little bit on certain Liverpool players, that kind of thing. I'm just saying, maybe it is a factor. And already I've seen online, by the way, those same or certain Newcastle fans kind of deflect, kind of go, I've seen Liverpool fans that were very confident going into yesterday's game, and yet we played them off the park. I don't think Liverpool fans were under any impression that yesterday wasn't going to be a difficult game. I see deflection tactics. I see certain Newcastle fans try and deflect. Just praise your team. Just praise your team. You did brilliantly yesterday to come back into the game. Every one of those Newcastle players, with the exception of Anthony Gordon, deserves insane amounts of credit for what they did. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. But to again deflect, to again try and make out Liverpool to be somewhat of the bad guy, just stop. Just stop. Liverpool got the 3 points. Were they deserving of it? Probably not overall. But still, we get a very tough away day out of the picture. We get the 3 points overall. That's all that matters. I wasn't too worried about performance. I just wanted the 3 points. We got that, and we have a star in the making of Rio Ngumoha to thank for that. These are the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Liverpool's 3-2 win over Newcastle last night? What do you make of the overall performance of Liverpool or Newcastle or both? And the result and anything else that goes along with that game? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling down below in the comments section. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new and want to see more content like this. Both things will always and be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another not so instant match reaction. And I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back live about 10 past, 1:15. Somewhere between then and there today. Talking more about this game, more about the Isak situation again. So if you come join me for that, that'd be great. Otherwise, I'll see you when I see you. Take care.